hizo kwa sababu katika ule mfumo mpya wa kufadhili elimu Kenya kuna kufadhili mara tatu. Mara ya kwanza ya kufadhili ni ule ufadhili unaotoka kutokana na serikali, kwa kimombo tunaita scholarship, na njia ya pili ni ile ya mikopo, na njia ya tatu ni ile mzazi anayolipia yeye mwenyewe. Mheshimiwa Spika, tumekuwa na ma-PS huku katika bunge letu ama kamati yetu ya elimu, na unagundua ya kwamba hata ile pesa ambayo inatakana kutolewa na serikali katika ile scholarship, Mheshimiwa Spika, vyuo vingi saizi havijapata hiyo pesa na wako na malimbikizi ya pesa ambazo hawajalipa wakandarasi wao. Mheshimiwa Spika, watoto wengi ama vijana wengi ambao wanapeleka maombi katika bodi ya mikopo ili kupewa ile mikopo, wengi pia wameachwa nje na wengi wametoka nje ya shule na kukosa masomo. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hivyo langu ni kusema kwamba taaluma ya elimu, mimi mwenyewe nikiwa mwalimu wa miaka mingi, karibu ya miongo miwili, nimefundisha hisabati na fizikia, na najua ile kazi ambayo walimu wanafanya ili kupeana masomo na maadili mema na kutengeneza wananchi ambao wanatakikana kutoa huduma za jamii. Hii taaluma ni muhimu sana na haitakikani iwekwe nje ama ibaguliwe wakati taaluma zingine zinapewa kipaumbele katika kufadhiliwa. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kusema ya kwamba kuna maswali mengi maseneta wameuliza kuhusu ufadhili wa elimu, na moja ni swali liliulizwa na Senator wa Nairobi, Senator Edwin Sifuna, ya kupanda kwa elimu yetu ya Kenya, hasa vyuo vya kitaifa vya anuai ama TVETs. Tumeweza kuliingilia kati hilo swala, na nafikiri tuliita PS ambaye anahusika, na nashukuru kwa sababu rais juzi akiwa anaongea alisema kwamba ile fee ama ile ada inayotakikana kulipwa na wale wanafunzi imeshuka mpaka 67,000, ingawaje sasa bado hatujaita yule PS ili kutuelezea kama hiyo 67,000 inafaa kulipwa namna gani. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia nikiangalia ile pesa ambayo inalipwa katika vyuo vya walimu ni kama 85,000 kwa mwaka. Mheshimiwa Spika, ningependa kusema kwamba mimi nikiwa mwalimu sielewi ni kwa nini hivi vyuo viweke ada ama vitoze ada ya shilingi 85,000. Mimi kwangu kibinafsi naona kama hiyo pesa itakuwa ni nyingi sana, kwa sababu shule nyingi za sekondari ambazo ni za kitaifa, ile ada wanaotoza wanafunzi ni kama shilingi 50,000 ama 45,000 kwa mwaka, ikiwemo chakula na nyingine, Mheshimiwa Spika, ya kununua vifaa vya maabara na kadhalika. Sasa sielewi ni kivipi vyuo vya walimu ambavyo vinapata ufadhili wa walimu kutoka kwa tume ya kuajiri walimu ama Teacher Service Commission, ile pesa yote ambao wanatoza vyuo vyetu 85,000 wanaipata namna gani? Kwa hivyo nafikiri baada ya kupitisha huu mswada ni vyema pia hii kamati yetu ya elimu inayoongozwa na Senator Montet, ambayo mimi pia ni mwanakamati, tuite hivi vyuo ama viongozi wa hivi vyuo na permanent secretary pia, labda watuelezee hii pesa wanaitumia namna gani, kwa sababu katika mafikira yangu nafikiria kwamba tunaweza kushukisha bei ama ada inayotozwa kwa hivi vyuo ili wanafunzi wengi zaidi wapate kupata masomo yao, Mheshimiwa Spika, ya elimu. Kwa hivyo mimi naunga mkono moja kwa moja ya kwamba tuweze kutenga pesa katika bajeti ya kuhakikisha ya kwamba wale wanafunzi wanaoenda katika vyuo vya walimu wapate ule mkopo unaopewana na Higher Education Loans Board. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa sababu taaluma ya walimu ni muhimu ama ina umuhimu wa kutoshana na zile taaluma zingine. Mheshimiwa Spika, kwa hayo machache napenda kuunga mkono huu mjadala. Asante Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Karanyama.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise to support this motion by Senator Joe Nyutu, Senator from Murang'a, on the exclusion of funding from the higher education funding model, Mr. Speaker. And because it speaks to fairness, it speaks to the reality in our teaching colleges, institutions, Mr. Speaker. In our Constitution, guarantees the right to education in Article 43. In the same Constitution, under Article 53, it makes education, basic education, compulsory and free. But let's be honest to ourselves, Mr. Speaker. Education is only as strong as the teacher who is delivering it. And we are disadvantaging our teachers right at the training stage, Mr. Speaker. In 2003, the government rolled out the new model of funding for higher education. But interestingly, it left out the teachers training colleges. And that gives us a very interesting situation where the university student can access HELP loans. A TVET student is supported, but the teacher who's training in colleges is left to figure it out, Mr. Speaker. Then what happens? They start to hustle, they start doing side jobs, they miss classes, and we start having trainees who are on survival mode, Mr. Speaker. We cannot have a quality teacher under such circumstances. And then we bring it closer home. A student from Mathare gets admitted to a training, teachers training college. Their parents are already struggling. And there's no provision for help, there's no structure for upkeep provision, or even guaranteed accommodation, Mr. Speaker, in those institutions for them. So they end up in this situation where they are hustling, they end up doing side hustles instead of attending classes, Mr. Speaker. And that is not the kind of situation that we want to have our teachers in. Our daughters, let's talk about our daughters. A lot of these students in these teachers training colleges are young females. When they don't have any means of survival, we are exposing them to unsafe methods of survival where they could end up getting taken advantage of, Mr. Speaker. And you see that policy gap ends up having our daughters exposed, Mr. Speaker, and that is a gap we need to take care of. At the same time, CBC system requires us to have well-trained teachers, motivated teachers, and teachers who are on top of things. But what do we get? We get demoralized trainees who translate to demoralized teachers. And if we don't fix this, we are going to end up having less trained teachers, a lot of dropouts, and future shortages in our classrooms, Mr. Speaker. Another set of students that need to be supported are students in Kenya School of Law, Mr. Speaker. That is also a tertiary institution. Why are they not included under the new funding model? We would like to see our young lawyers supported, and so that we can have all students under this funding model, Mr. Speaker. I want to support this motion, and I want to congratulate Joe Nyutu for such a progressive motion. And with those few words, Mr. Speaker, I support.
Senator Catherine Momo.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to contribute to this motion. Honourable Speaker, I'm a member of the Education Committee and would like to thank Senator John Nyutu for this very important motion, something that I think has been overlooked over the years. Honourable Speaker, beginning with the constitutional requirement, the failure or the lack of support for teacher training college, for the teachers in TTCs is actually a violation of Article 43. It is access to education is facilitated first from the primary level, and I think we are wearing the dress inside out when we assess the need for support to learning institutions from the universities and fail to actually support the first level of instruction to our learners. And it is something that we need to think about as a country. It is something that the national government executive needs to look at. The ministry needs to actually revisit and ensure that we correct this anomaly. Honourable Speaker, before 1995, education in the universities was for free. That's when we had boom, and Honourable Senator Mungatana, boom was actually money for leisure. University was paid for, we had the halls, we had the food, we ate dialogue in the dining, and then we had boom. Boom was used for boom boxes for the men, that is a music system, and for skirt suits, and the dresses for the girls.
What is your point of order, Senator for Nairobi City County?
Speaker, it's only fair when, I don't want to say older members, when people who were there when these things were happening, when the senior members, thank you, I stand corrected, when they use some of these terms that we don't understand, I don't know how I can say it, they dumb it down for us so that we're able to understand. The way we have dumbed it down for them, phrases like Nikokadi, so that they understand what we are saying. So I am lost. I need to follow the debate, Honourable Speaker.
Senator Catherine Muma, would you simplify so that your colleagues can, especially your young colleagues, can follow?
Thank you. Thank you. Honourable Speaker, when we went to university, the government supported. We didn't even know what the fees was because it was paid. And then when you came in, you were given a residency. You had a hostel in which you lived. And you could eat in the dining, and the food was good. We had sausage in the morning, bread. We had chapati. We had jelly for, has any of you eaten jelly? There's this new lot. And then you had pocket money. That is what was called boom. And what would happen those days, most of the men would pull their boom for a semester to buy the biggest music system, and the girls would buy clothes. And of course, those who came from struggling families would support their siblings with school fees. Then we moved on from 1995 to 2010, when the issue of bringing in help in terms of the loan to support students came in. Between 2014 and 2022, we then moved on to supporting the TVETs when it was recognized that we need a skilled workforce in order for the economy to grow. And I think incrementally and progressively, this has been good. But the motion brought by Senator John Nyutu is actually important in the sense that we have usually charged learners in TTCs And yet, that is the lot that actually focuses on the primary education. And I think in this era and age, particularly when we have 75% of all our population being under 35, and therefore many, many people who need these services, I think we need to rethink this model and see how we can support this team. Honorable Speaker, now it is a paradox that we are willing to support a diploma in ICT, we are willing to support, but we don't want to support a diploma in the TTC. I think it's a mistake that we need to relook at. I know the bill is big, but Honorable Speaker, education is the #1 equity tool that we have. That is the first opportunity the poorest family has. If their child goes to school, then there is hope that they can actually move through the motions and be able to move from poverty. So it is our first equalization tool, and we need to spend as much as we are able to spend in order to ensure that this happens. Honorable Speaker, last session, we also discussed the wastage of funds within the education sector. We discussed the multiple bursary schemes, the multiple scholarship schemes that are happening, and we have felt that these need to be consolidated. We, as a Committee of Education, we have actually over 30 statements that the CS and the ministry have not responded to. Among these issues, one of the things we think that the Parliament of Kenya must help to do is to consolidate and to ensure that the pilferage of public funds through parallel and overlapping bursary schemes needs to stop. We actually need to relook at this and to aggregate and see how much in terms of funds do we have from the exchequer, from loans taken with the World Bank, from philanthropists, MasterCard and the others, the banks that we have, and how can this be reorganized in order for us to account for every cent. I believe, Honorable Speaker, if we do this, we probably will be able to reorganize the education system in order for that education system to be more valuable to as many learners as possible. And we would be able to actually train as many in the tertiary institutions, including the TTCs, to ensure that our learners have the best skilling tools in terms of the personal resource. Honorable Speaker, if you follow up on with the NGCDF and the other funds that are going to the education sector, everybody is fixated with bursaries. And I have asked before, I asked a question to the Minister for Education, whether he actually knew what development has been delivered by NGCDF. He said he does not know, and yet he's the Minister for Education. He said he does not follow up on NGCDF, so he cannot tell you this is the extent of the development in the education sector by CDF. That is a big problem. We actually need to be able to have the software in terms of the instruction being given to our learners more than classrooms. And classrooms are important, but if you have classrooms, you have books, and every year it is classrooms and books. Every year it is classroom and books. And a list of those who have received bursaries, the same list receiving bursaries from the governors, the same list receiving bursaries from MasterCard, the same list receiving bursaries from the others, there is a problem. We actually need, as a matter of urgency, bearing in mind, as I have said, that education is the first equalizing tool, we need to go back and do our accounts. We need to go and balance and find out. I believe we may very well have enough funds, and we need to reorganize and to see how we move on. Honorable Speaker, even as we are speaking for TTCs, I would want us to tell the House that as a committee, we have actually found that 60% of those who finish O-level are hardly getting any skilling. The burden, the larger burden of training those who finish Form 4 to have some sort of skill is actually on counties, because the universities and the tertiary institutions are only taking about 30% or 35%. I believe if you add on the TTCs, you might move that to about 50%. But the TTCs are actually only those who are able to afford to pay. Then you have this entire lot of young people who are not getting any skill, who are supposed to go to VTCs that are under governors, and we have found out that over the past 13 years, governors have not been spending any monies on VTCs. They have actually not been spending good money on the...
Is it a point of information or point of order? Senator Catherine Muma, would you wish to be informed? You may go ahead, Senator Mandago.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I would like to inform Senator Cathy Muma that a number of counties from 2013 have actually been putting funds for VTCs. I say so as a former governor of Uasin Gishu County who served for 2 terms, and I ensured that there was 13,000 per student capitation for every student attending the VTC. And we made sure in all our 12 VTCs, the enrollment was more than 400, and Senator Betty Montet can bear me witness. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I'd like to take the point made by Honorable Senator Mandago and to actually rephrase what I said, to say that majority of governors have actually not been investing in VTCs and in ECD. In fact, very few have even invested in what you call childcare, that is within that function that has been assigned to them. In Uasin Gishu, we would like to confirm not one more VTC has been built since you left. So we've been checking, and since we started monitoring on this particular function, some governors are busy now trying to build some ECDs. Some had not even built any ECDs. We visited Busia. You saw what we saw. Some of them have all of a sudden realized, my goodness, we are supposed to be doing something. And yet, this is important. Education is important, and both levels, national and county government, need to imagine the way in which we can actually functionalize our VTCs. Our VTCs are stigmatized. They are called village polytechnics. And because they are called village polytechnics, a number of governors have not seen the need to actually put in funds. So, Senator John Yutu, I'd like to thank you. I think what you've brought up is absolutely important. But of all the things that I've raised, I think as a House, and possibly together with the National Assembly, we need to seriously do the young people of Kenya a favor and relook at the education system and ensure that we are not dumping our youth after they finish Form 4. That is a time bomb that is awaiting this nation. We congratulate the governments where they have done something, but what needs to be done is a lot more. And I fully, heartedly support the need for TTC training to actually be included in receiving the public funds to support those teachers. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Abbas. Yes, Senator Fatuma Dulo, what's your issue?
Sorry, Mr. Speaker, it's not that I wanted to contribute to this motion, but Mr. Speaker, you made a ruling on the floor of this House about 3 weeks ago, and the ruling said that the IG should submit the report on my shooting that happened in Isiolo County by 20th. Today it is 25th. Up to now, there is no response from IG. I would request you to intervene, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Now, clerk, ensure the IG appears before the Senate on Tuesday at 2:30 next week. You may proceed, Senator Bass.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to also contribute to the motion. Honorable Speaker, actually, teachers are the most disadvantaged public servants in this country. And teaching is actually a noble career. But of course, it has been taken to be a second fiddle to all other jobs, simply because of the way it is being paid, the way teachers are not taken care of, the way they are not being, welfare is not being taken care of. As you see, when teachers are employed, the regulations and the other allowances are not even mentioned. But of course, in other civil servants, you hear house allowance is mentioned, health is mentioned, everything is mentioned. But teachers struggle for all those things. And the most disadvantaged, actually, and this is actually a very noble profession. But of course, Kenyans have taken this profession as a second-class business. Honorable Speaker, this country is actually dreaming to be an industrialized country and actually go at the bow with the Singapore has always been sung by everybody and all politicians. But of course, we cannot be able to reach that stage with this kind of business of neglecting teachers, not supporting teachers, especially in the education system. Teaching has actually become second option for everybody, each of us, or all those who went to school, because of the way it is being paid, the way it's being handled, and it is not actually taken as serious profession as any other profession. And therefore, if this country has to move forward, I think it is high time that teachers' welfare must be taken care of. They should not be struggling for their health. These are people who are in class almost 24 hours. They stay in classroom. They teach your young kids, handle your kids. While other people have the time even to do their own business outside their job. These are people who never enjoy even a life. Honorable Speaker, this country, actually, the CBE scene, I don't know what you call the CBC or CBE, system of education, is saying every Kenyan must go to college after Form 4 and universities. The number of students are increasing, but they don't even have enough infrastructure. The government is spending 700 billion. That's almost 26% of the GDP of the current budget. Out of the 2.7, of course it's 4.7, but what we know, I know what you call it is about 2.7. 700 billion is going for education. And that is not even enough because of the system is not well planned. The CBE system of education that is now currently ongoing is actually creating a class in Kenya. Class system. Of course, when the student comes to you, the child will tell you, I am given homework, and as a parent you must do. We have pastors who have now gone to school. They don't even know what the ABCD is. The students have been told, go and buy books, go and buy boxes, go and do knitting, go and do cooking. My friend, this is what's supposed to be done by the moms at home. Exactly. You are making students busy on irrelevant things. You see a class, a primary kid carrying 27 books, encyclopedia. Why will a kid of class 3 who was not even able to read, how are you going to use the encyclopedia? It's actually, the students are now developing handbags carrying loads of books. They are being told to wake up at 5 in the morning. They go there when they're sleeping. They're being taken in schools, round and round. The buses are carrying them, and their kids are sleeping in the buses. That kind of education will never help anybody. Honorable Speaker, one other thing is the system, the new system of education funding is also biased. Because the categorization actually, I don't know, category C, category B, I don't know what it is. I don't know how that is classified. What criteria people are using. Because most of the students cannot be able to meet those criteria, and those criteria have been developed in somebody who can afford to pay school fees for his kids. He doesn't know the sons or the daughters of the poor people, how they look like, where they are. They have been told that this thing is classified, and then class B gets this amount of money, class C gets this kind of, this is not the system that we need to have in this country. Honorable Speaker, I think the old system of funding on help, loans, and these things should be followed. The new system should be done away with. It's very biased, it's confusing, because I am also a parent who pays school fees, even though I pay for other funds. And every time I'm being told there's balance, this has not been done, and this has not been paid. One other thing, Honorable Speaker, I've seen is, even in times of admissions, the COOPs, when they admit a student, and if a student wants to move from one course to another course, if you change the course, then you don't get the money. You are bad. Because the student must be given also time to, if somebody wants to do medicine, and is qualified, or she's qualified, and she wants to move to medicine, then they should be allowed. But what happens is, if you move from, if you're a biochemistry student, and then you want to go to medicine, surgery and medicine, then you're told then the government will not sponsor you. This is a very bad system. Honorable Speaker, for us to industrialize, the TVET students must be supported. TVETs are doing a lot of good jobs. They are doing a lot of developing a lot of technology. And it's only through the technical schools and technical colleges that we can be able to get industrialized. Honorable Speaker, the diploma teachers, diploma teachers are not even given in bursaries. The students who are doing KMTC diplomas are not given bursaries. And if you look at it, this country, there's so many money, there's a lot of money, plenty of money. There's government sponsorship, there's bursaries from CDF, there's bursary from Jomo Kenyatta Foundation, there's bursary from the president, and this thing only goes to persons who is who and whom you know. It doesn't go to the poor people. Even the teacher who is filling those forms, especially like JKF, you just feel for his worker, those he knows better, and his own student and his kinsmen. So the whole system is rotten, and I think you need to have an overhaul and bring the system of education sponsorships and bursaries together, including even the ones for the bursaries from the MPs. I have been a member of parliament in the National Assembly, and I know what is going on there. It's so biased and skewed politically. Because you only look for those who supported you. So it's the high time that all these things should be brought together. All this money should be brought to one basket, so that there will be a fair distribution of resources for health and education. Honorable Speaker, the students in the colleges actually are really having problems. Even the TVETs and the teachers' colleges, they are in boarding schools. They are not even paid well. They don't have sponsorship, and the students there are actually almost starving. Yeah, Honorable Speaker, with the 700 billion available for the Ministry of Education, it's the high time that this country must come back to the drawing board, that to look the CBE system. We don't want to play politics in our education system. Most of us who are here today, I'm sure, none of us, our children are going to schools, public schools. Let's be honest. People have gone to national schools, international schools. They're taking their children to international schools. So you're living the poor people. So what now I'm saying that this class system, simply because you're teaching how to cook and bake breads and these things, then you want to have more domestic workers than what the professionals and the doctors and all these things. You're breeding here and educating more domestic workers. So that's why I'm saying there's a class system in our education system. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I beg to support.
Senator Osoti.
Mr. Speaker, I want to say that as much as I support this motion, I have looked at the motion, and the motion says that we urge the government to include the teachers training colleges in the funding model. I think, Mr. Speaker, I have said this in this House before, severally, that when we spend time to debate motions, let's focus on motions where we are giving an order, not basically telling government institutions or ministries to urge them. Because when you say urge, it means it's an open check. They can implement it, they can keep it in their shelf, and nothing happens. What we are supposed to say, we are supposed to say that resolve, we are resolving as a House. Mr. Speaker, we are going to spend like 1-2 hours discussing this motion, and after that, nothing happens. It's so sad. So I want to start on that note to say, this is a very good motion. How I wish we were making a resolution, because by the mere reading of this motion, this is not a resolution, Mr. Speaker, because we are urging the government. We are not making a resolution. So I think those who are drafting these motions from our secretariat, they need to take that into account so that when we sit here and debate and give ideas, let those ideas be implemented by the government. Now, coming to the motion, Mr. Speaker, the spirit you get from this motion is that there is a serious problem with the funding education generally in this country, because we are saying that we would like teachers training colleges to be included in the funding model, and from the discussions I've heard from the members, they have even talked about including the vocational training centers in this model as well, and many other institutions, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that tells you that overall something has to be done on funding education in this country. And I think as much as we focus too much on brick and mortar, wanting to make roads, wanting to build SGRs, Mr. Speaker, as a country, I think the most important thing we need to do is to invest in our people so that we have cheap labor that we can use in this country and also export it, Mr. Speaker.